Good morning, KW Milwaukee on a beautiful Tuesday, June 27th. 7th. I was like, I hope I'm not losing it. I hope everybody's had an incredible start to their June. Tuesday meeting schedule has been a bit wonky based on how the calendar has flowed so far the last 6 to 8 weeks. And for those of you who are parents of high school and college kids, I pray for you. I'm with you, and I've maybe been there before, but I know it's the 3 weeks of Bummerfest, and hopefully you're living through it. I'll tell you a little quick side anecdote, not about me, but I was looking at Facebook on Saturday morning, and the Whitefish Bay Police Department posted hey, happy first weekend of Summerfest. For those of you who think you're really smart and can drink underage on the bus, maybe peeing on a police car outside the bus stop isn't the smartest of choices. So, I don't know. It wasn't me. And I just thought to myself, full disclosure, that wasn't me. We'll save it. My mom just offered to share a bus station story, and I said, we're good. We don't go there. But June 27th, hopefully everybody's having a great start to their summer. Summerfest has been good to many of you, and that 4th of July is coming up, and one of my favorite days of the year. So we'll get rocking and rolling. Super excited for this morning because I got a panel of your peers that I'm going to ask questions of, and I have 2 very important questions to ask of them to help you how they navigate the market of the moment. And the questions center around this. How do you get sellers to trust you and then act on that trust? How do you get sellers to trust you and act on that trust? So we're going to dive into that with 6 of your peers here this morning. So mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives, as we always start out our Tuesday mornings. One of the things that I'd bring up is success results through people, right? And maybe a week or 2 ago, in celebrating success, there is a list called the Real Trends list, which is compiled by the Wall Street Journal. It celebrates the top 1,000 agents, okay? And for a little bit of perspective on what the Real Trends list is Real Trends, Tom Ferry, and the Wall Street Journal team up to honor America's finest real estate agents and teams across the country. The list of 1,000 agents represents the top 1.49% of more than the 1.6 million licensed associates nationwide. Ranked by individuals or teams, and you can see there, so on and so forth. It's both by units and sales volume by state. Last year, we had 2 individual agents recognized and 8 teams recognized. This year, we have more than 20 teams or agents recognized. And so I want to give a quick shout out to those people. Top teams that made the Real Trends 1000 list: the J. Schmidt Group, Falk Reuven Gallagher, Stalley Realty Group, Gallagher Lake Country, Team Trimble, Cluster Property Group, Krickeberg Group, Duvall Group, On Point Realty, Double Bolt, Mindright Realty, A-Key Home, Molitor Properties, Desty's Team, and Reliance Real Estate. Congrats to the top teams. And top individual agents, and again, this is for 2022. I don't know why it is that they come out with this in mid-June for last year, but top individual agents: Sarah Papp out of the Southwest office, Kevin Gardy, who's all over Southeastern Wisconsin, Doreen Drummel out of the Tosa office, and Sarah Brunner out of the North Shore office. Congrats to the top individual agents. Success results through people. It's a core belief into who we are and our mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. So quick operations update for you as we sit here on June 27th, because there's a handful of things that you guys need to be aware of as how it relates or impacts your business, okay? First up, Kimmy wants me to remind you in the background a couple of things. One, the RESPA and the firm's disclosure updates form has been updated. So RESPA and the affiliated business arrangement disclosure and the firm's disclosures have been updated. Be on a lookout from an email from Kimmy here today. The June 2023 versions of these documents are already updated in DocuSign. Zip Forms is working on getting these updated within the next week. Clients who have already signed the old version of these disclosures do not need to sign again. Going forward, please ensure that you're using the June 2023 versions for your clients. Just as one little quick caveat for the teams, and I think there's only 2 or 3 of you, for the teams that are still utilizing the .loop platform, you will need to make sure that you update your RESPA and firm disclosure form to the June of 2023 form. Kimmy will be sending a note specifically to those teams along with the rest of the associates here today. Secondly, as it relates to what's changed in terms of the firm's disclosure. First, the first page includes new disclosures on limitations of services as it relates to, and this is important, legal advice. State law prohibits real estate licensees from giving legal advice. Okay, the record, buyers and sellers should direct all questions to their attorney and not to the licensees or firms about whether or how to disclose any condition, how to fill out the record, and the legal rights and obligations to the parties of the transaction. The reason I'm reading this to you line by line, which may seem redundant, is from a legal standpoint and making sure that we're disclosing this properly. Third, property changes. Buyers and or buyer's attorney are solely responsible for determining or investigating the planned use or change use of the property. Okay. We also added a disclosure on title insurance around sellers typically agree to pay for the owner's policy of title insurance for the buyer. Title insurance is very important, but can be difficult to understand. It may reveal rights, interests, restrictions, or documents that impact or limit ownership and or how the property can be used. You can ask questions of the title company, but no one except your lawyer is licensed to advise you about title. Licensees are prohibited from advising you about the state of title and thus do not review or advise upon the title insurance commitment or policy for you. A lot of this is really, quite frankly, to protect you guys in terms of what you can or should be doing as it relates to the advice that's being given and making sure that your clients are signing off on this. Next up is, we've kind of mentioned this before, and Jenny Klug kind of brought this up as our partner at APHW. Home warranty data collection form. The reason why this is important is APH offers an incredible resource for you as this home data collection forms comes in. If you have an E&O insurance claim, there are reductions to E&O that APHW will cover on your behalf in the event that you get into a claim. Likelihood of that scenario is very, very small, but we have seen an uptick in litigation as it relates to transactions here recently. And then lastly, as it relates to a reminder from Kimmy, all opportunities must be approved prior to close. If your opportunity doesn't look like this, as approved and approved, you are not ready to close. A $100 fine will be issued for opportunities submitted after 7 days and $300 for files submitted after close. Now, one point of clarification, and just in terms of where these fines go. The fines go to support KW Local Education and KW Local Cares. So when BOLD rolls around or we give scholarships and educations to those who attend Mega Camp or Family Reunion, it's coming from your peers who may not get their stuff in on time. So you can thank them. But know this, it's not, we don't like operating with a carrot or a stick. And sometimes yet, Kimmy, I think, is very generous with her gentle, subtle reminders time and time again. And finally, she just says, you know what? You're not learning your lesson. And we thank you for the contribution you make to local education and scholarship on behalf of those that need it. Cool? Beautiful. Also, from an operations and updates, as a reminder, the listing network, we're about 6 weeks to 8 weeks into this. We're sending you reminders on Friday and we're sending you reminders on Monday to try and gather information that is not readily available on the MLS. So this includes excluded listings, includes single party listings, includes things that you know that may be coming to the market but have yet to be entered into MLS to be able to leverage our economies of scale within the listing inventory and then provide it to our associates. I will tell you, the word across the marketplace is getting out in terms of how we are leveraging this, because we are getting phone calls on a continual weekly basis as it relates to this list and how other people at other companies can get access to this list. Just a little hint. We aren't sharing it with them, which is why we filter the information to make sure that it's properly recorded in the event that the list is gets let out. But we're doing this in a way in which that you guys can leverage the knowledge and information that you guys have in order to get a step ahead of the market to put yourself in the best possible position to succeed. Make sense? Sweet. Any questions or comments, feel free to hit us back. 6, 7, 8 weeks in, I think we're starting to dial it in. Would you agree? We're figuring it out, and we're just kind of creating that habit to try and gather the information to get it back to you. Cool? Cool. All right. One last update for you as it relates to operations. Okay. Somewhat important so you guys understand a small potential interruption next week. I'll give you a little historical context to this. Forever in a day, June is always the busiest month in residential real estate in southeastern Wisconsin. Okay. June is always the busiest. By the time we get to the end of June, I always every year try and give our team a little bit of an extended break at the 4th of July. This year, we're incredibly fortunate, or depending on how you look at it, unfortunate that the 4th of July lands on a Tuesday. Okay. With that, the way in which that I know how to at least help my team reset so they can always be present and serve you at the highest level is give them time with those that they need to pour into, their loved ones, their friends, their spouse. So I'm going to give that to them on Monday, the 3rd, so that they can enjoy a long 4-day weekend extended break. Make sense? Cool. I appreciate your understanding because it can create a bit of a hiccup being that it is a Monday. Okay. If you have issues, you can call me or text me directly and I will run to an office to make sure that you need help. But I'm going to make sure that these guys get a little bit of an extended break as they always do around the 4th of July, because I know by the time June rolls around, they're about ready to just push it into a closet and be done with it. So, yeah. So reminder for you, you guys have access to the offices 24, 7 days a week. Now, if you're in on Monday, totally cool. Your fobs will work. Just do me a quick favor, and these seem like really simple reminders, but they're not so simple when we come in on Wednesday morning and we find this in every single location. Please make sure that you're closing a door behind you. Many, many times I've gotten phone calls at 11 o'clock at night. The North Shore office back door is wide open. The Lake Country office door is wide open. Hey, someone's walking around the TOSA office looking for someone at, whatever. Make sure the doors are locked behind you. If you can please make sure to remember to turn off lights and TVs if you're utilizing them while if you're here over the extended break. Please throw away food and drinks so that we don't have extra visitors in the offices. And if you have issues or concern, please reach out to Willis, Caitlin, Jackie, Britt, the rest of the team, as we're here to serve you. But just want to give you a little heads up as to how that may impact you on Monday, July 3rd. Make sense? Sweet. Awesome. Last thing as it relates to operations and updates. We've sent out a lot of people have been asking for this, but a KW swag order. So today is the last day to order KW swag in supporting a family of ours that we know well. Just a Game Fieldhouse out of Wisconsin Dells is helping us support. And the cool part is, guys, if you want to order this stuff and then throw your logo on it, by all means, go right ahead. And we can help you connect you with those that can help do that. If you have team orders of things that you want to do, feel free. Last day to order KW swag is today. Cool. All right, beautiful. I'm going to jump right into the panel. Okay. And here's what I'm going to share with you up front is to help you understand the market of the moment and what's going on. So first up, okay, this is new inventory units that are coming to the marketplace. Okay, last week was 487, a slight dip, not overly surprising as people are starting to head into what some people could consider to be a holiday weekend. The prior 2 to 3 weeks, you had 590, 626. Okay, if you take the 3-week stretch, it was the largest increase in new inventory units that came to the market in 2023. Okay, the last 3 weeks. 626, 590, and you can see the latest 24-week average over the last 6 months is 476. A very large, substantial increase over the 24-week average as to new inventory that's coming to the marketplace. Now, how is this impacting total inventory? Okay, the beautiful thing of it is, again, if you look at the last 3 weeks, we've had more inventory on the market than we've had at any point in 2023. Last week, there were 3,674 units on the marketplace. Now, that's still down around anywhere, depending on week by week, 25 to 30% year over year. However, in terms of where we are in the market of the moment, we are peaking in June. As I mentioned earlier, June is the peak of the market. How are you preparing your clients for the peak of the market as we sit today? Last week, there were 3,674 units that came to the market. Last 3 weeks, most amount of inventory we've seen so far yet in 2023. Now, let's take a look at buyer side demand, okay? And this is comparing this year versus 2020, 2021, 2022, okay? I want to hone on this a little bit as it relates to buyer demand and what's showing up in showing time. 2023 showing activity is outpacing what we had seen in 2022 and is on par with 2021. You can see it's below 2020, but 2020, there are some anomalies as it relates to the market coming back after a 2-month shutdown. And so what you're seeing is outpacing 2022 and on par with 2021 tells you what? Despite rates, buyers have just changed their budget because people still need to buy and sell real estate, okay? Now, as it relates to number of units that went under contract, last week alone, we had 511 units that went under contract. It was the single largest week of units that went under contract in 2023. It's not overly surprising to me if you look at the last 3 weeks of new inventory that came to the market, 626, 590, 487. So to see 511 units that went under contract last week, following a week that was 479 and 476, which would be the largest 3 weeks of units that went under contract in 2023, tells you the market is moving efficiently. Demand truly has not subsided. Now, you may ask, how do we really effectively know this? We look at sales absorption rates. Sales absorption rates is the percentage of units that go under contract in a given week. Last week was the highest percentage of inventory that went under contract in a single week in 2023. The prior 2 weeks before that was 12.9% and 12.9% respectively. So we're on this 3-week stretch where I'll just tell you, you know, like the old saying, like, how do you know when times are good? What is the saying? It's like, you don't know when times are good until you're already through them. What I'm telling you right now is you're in the peak of the market of activity. So if you're feeling a little bit of that burnout right around 4th of July, or you're feeling like you've been on the hamster wheel or whatever, stick to it, be consistent, continue your activities, because you don't want to miss your window of opportunity here in June of 2023, heading into July of 2023. Does that make sense? Beautiful. So now I'm going to give you a few things to consider. Days on market statistics. Okay. I have a theory that both some agents and some sellers are getting a bit greedy as it relates to price when they come to the market. How do I know this? Days on market statistics are up 33% since May of 2021, and they're up 20% since 2022. Days on market are up. Okay. Now, I will also tell you, we know that prices are continuing to appreciate at 10%. So it's not as if the market is not continuing where the prices have gone up. And I think sellers are recognizing that. The question becomes are you caught in chasing a price that ultimately hurts the value that your sellers ultimately get? Because remember this, what a home is worth is the answer to a value question. What a home will sell for is the answer to a sales price question. So there's 3 considerations I think you need to think about. The most successful agents become masters of pricing and masterful at getting their sellers to trust their findings in order to act on them. Okay? I'm going to repeat that because I think you need to understand something. In a market where 80% of homeowners in southeastern Wisconsin have a less than a 4% interest rate, the only way that you will be able to manufacture inventory is to be masterful in understanding the pricing dynamics of the market to help people understand the return they can get on their investment in order for sellers to trust your findings and act on them. Okay? 2, buyers are always looking for value. Doesn't matter the market, straight up. And 3, the best way to serve a seller is to persuade them to outthink the other sellers they must compete against. When someone wants to come to the market, who are they competing against as it relates to the price they want to come to the marketplace with? And how are they maximizing the return on that strategic decision in order to create an action, which ultimately becomes a desirable outcome? Okay. And the reason I bring this up is I think sometimes people are too much trusting of their brand and reputation for someone to pick up the phone and call them, instead of continuously sharpening their pencil as it relates to how people view them in the market of the moment, in order for a seller to trust them with their largest financial asset. Right? So here's what I want to do. I want to have a conversation. Well, and we'll get into that in a second. Now, here are 7 truths to maximizing pricing. 7 truths. 1, be a student of your market. Know your numbers. 2, focus on your main comps on activities. Pendings and solds may already be out of date. 3, be a student of property. Preview them so you understand what is selling and why. Keep your presentations as current as possible. Let your ongoing research do the talking. 5, pre-qualify their motivation. 6, price ahead of the market to avoid chasing it. 7, always secure price reductions in advance to avoid falling behind the market. Okay. And again, the last 2 slides will be available to you on kwrealtymke.com when we post the team meeting slides, so that you can have both of these slides as you think about how it is that you're becoming the valued, trusted advisor to your clients. Because the key is you have to get them to trust you in order for them to act with you. Okay. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to pose 2 questions to a panel of 6 people. First, I'm going to ask Emily Fair, days on market 9, average price point 320. Second, I'm going to ask Melissa Bradley, days on market 5, average price point 363. Third, Kevin Gardy, days on market 13, 328 average price point. Marcus, days on market 3, average price point 595. Nancy Brennan, days on market 8, average price point 353. Dan Wild, days on market 6, average price point 366. The reason why I selected these 6 people is they aren't facing the same thing when it relates to days on market increasing by almost 1/3 versus prior year. Okay. So here are the questions that I'm going to pose to them. We're going to do this in order in rapid fire. 1, what are you leveraging, or how are you utilizing data to get sellers to trust you, then act? The second question I'm going to ask them in order for them to get their feedback for you is this. There are 2 markets. 1, a property is priced to sell. 2, a property is priced to sit. Thoughts, and how are you getting your sellers to play ball? Make sense? Beautiful. All right, Emily Fair, you're up first.
Hi, good morning. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Hi from upstairs. Okay.
Emily.
Yeah, go ahead.
First question. What are you leveraging, and how are you utilizing data to get your sellers to trust you, then act?
Okay. Well, we have a saying on our team, and it's everything you do makes the next thing either easier or harder. So what we want to do on our team is we want to make sure that we're showing up before we even get to the pricing conversation in the most streamlined, professional, systematic way. So when it comes to even the initial phone call, so our sales skills, we're working on sales skills. We're working on our listing prep. We've got our paperwork is like all buttoned up. Our photos, our marketing, everything is super streamlined, really predictable, so that by the time we get to the part where we have to have that serious conversation about pricing, we have made that job much, much easier because we've done everything professionally along the way, and they're already bought in on our ability to have that conversation. So that's our thing. Everything you do makes the next thing either easier or harder.
And what data are you specifically utilizing? And what are you looking at as it relates to being proactive in those communications?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'll say something that might be unpopular and maybe a little bit direct, but pulling comps is not a skill. So if you prep for your listing presentation and all you do is bring like your listing handbook and comps, you're doing it wrong. There's such a bigger conversation. And so we want to be thinking about like what Gary says about being the economist of choice, and really providing perspective on like truly the way we think about it is like the world, and then the country, and then the region, the state, the city, the neighborhood, and then the comps. And we kind of go in that order. So we use 6 data points. We always talk about this. If you guys have probably heard me talk about this before, but we have 6 data points that are truly like leading metrics. And so we don't just come in with comps. That's the last thing we come in with, and we have to have them. But we're talking about showing activity. We're talking about expired listings. We're talking about loan applications and what's happening with like buyer demand. Again, I have 6 data points that I'm using, but it's not pulling comps and here you go. Guy across the street sold for 350. Let's price at 350. It's not that. That's so 2021. So we got to use different data points that are going to predict the future. And we really have to provide perspective on what's happening outside of their own little bubble, because our sellers are only thinking about themselves and their bubble. Our job, we get paid a lot of money to provide a much bigger, grander perspective and tell a whole story so that our seller can then come into a price that makes sense based on all kinds of information. And again, it's all about being the economist of choice.
Okay, Emily, 6 data points. You said showing activity, you said expired listings.
Showing activity, expired listings. Gals, help me out. We've
Loan
got
applications,
loan applications. Yep.
price
What am I forgetting?
reductions,
Price reductions. Yep. They're all, I have them all on a sheet.
new listings.
New listings coming. Yep. And then we're missing one. Canceled. No, we said that. Expired. It's expired, canceled, withdrawn, whatever, that whole, all of that. I think we somehow we got to them all. But again, if you guys want to know what they are, I have them all on a sheet. And so I just go, when I'm prepping for a listing and anybody on my team is prepping, we're going through all those 6 data points, pulling all that information and saying, okay, of these 6 data points, which ones are the most relevant in this particular situation? Some of them, sometimes we'll use all 6. Sometimes it's just one of them is going to be such a strong story. And then sometimes, you know, any combination thereof. But data points are not median sale price. It's not that. It's not comps. It's not the past. It's predicting the future.
Perfect. Emily, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Melissa Bradley, question for you. What are you leveraging and how are you utilizing data in order to get sellers to trust you and act?
So without repeating a lot of what she had said, I do a lot of the same things. I really focus on, they want to know what's happening in their community. So I go through everything that's happening. If it's a specific city, where they're located, what other prices in that, what the prices are currently in that area. I do go through the comparables as well, but I really focus in and show them different parts of the comparables. I'll have 5 different listings in there and really focus. If they have a price in mind, then I'll say, oh, this house really looks like this. We'll go through, we talk about sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. We talk about what we can do to get their house up to that price or what we need to do to bring it down to the more realistic price range.
Okay, so let me ask you a
Sorry,
follow-up
I
question.
know.
No, you're good. I'll help you.
First, yeah.
So you have 2 kinds of sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Sellers that want a price to sell.
Yep.
And you have a second seller that's priced to sit. How are you overcoming the objection if a seller wants to price to sit based on their next door neighbor who sold 2 years ago got $700,000?
Yes.
Who knows, right?
Right.
How are you overcoming the objection to help them understand to price it to help them still achieve their objective?
Yes. I really try. I have several conversations with them. I really have a very low key meet for coffee or just a quick conversation over the phone to really figure out why they want that price. And are they only selling because they heard their neighbor sold for X amount over? And I also then we'll sit down and meet and we really go through where you had Mark had mentioned the value of a home.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has, you know, they're pricing their emotions at some point. So we want to scale that back and bring it to an actual business transaction. I don't know
Perfect.
if that really answered your question.
Well, it does, because here's what I know. Melissa Bradley's selling on average days on market is 5, working in an average price point that's about 30% higher than the market. You're doing it effectively well. Congrats. All right, KG, you're next. Right? KG, What are you leveraging? You've had a lot of success this year. You're building a team that's had a lot of success. You continue to have momentum. What are you leveraging and how are you utilizing data to get sellers to act in order to trust you in order to act? KG sells phone home. He may not be on.
Hear me?
Yep. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm on the phone today. My computer crashed. I don't have it. But here we are. Days on market would be a little lower if it wasn't for that commercial listing I had. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. Reasons are results.
Right. All right. You know, this is going to sound repetitive, but knowing the market, once you demonstrate that you can sell a house fast and for more money than they expected, that spreads in your sphere of influence, right? So I'm finding this year and most of last year, I don't have people challenging me about my knowledge. Do I show up with all the knowledge possible? Absolutely. But once you get a few houses and you do great for somebody and you exceed their expectations, we're not having a long conversation about price. We're talking about, all right, when are we going live and when are we looking at offers and how are we going to get there? But for people that I don't, you know, new customers and things like that, it's knowing the market. It's not checking in every couple of weeks because it's changing daily now. To get people, you know, you have to, everybody probably thinks everything's selling. You put it on the market and it sells, but that's not true. So I'm showing up with expired listings that say, look, they did not price it right. Here's the condition of the house. You just can't make up numbers even in this great market. So you have to keep them checked. And the conversation is always, it comes down to price and condition. Here's what this house sold for. Here's the condition. We look at the pictures. What are your thoughts? How do you ask them? The more you tell, you want to ask more questions and tell. You ask the client, how do you think your home compares to this one based on condition? And they arrive at the price and how we're going to do it themselves versus me always having to tell them.
I love it. Showing up with expireds and or price reductions to keep people in check. Perfect. All right, Marcus Auerbach, moving over to you. Working in 3 days on market. Okay, that's your statistics and averages. Working at a price point that's 2x the market median. What are you working on in terms of how you're getting to get sellers to get into the market versus out of the market as it relates to pricing and utilizing data in order to get them to trust you?
Yeah, same thing. Don't want to, lots of good things already been said. Don't want to be repetitive. I'm very much a data person, engineer by trade, so I naturally gravitate to the data. And I always come with data, you know, very much to the same point as we've already heard. But what I try to do between the data points is to do a lot of storytelling, because humans are really well, you know, we all receive stories really well. That's our evolutionary, you know, upbringing, being, you know, stories being told at the you know, Stone Age campfire, that sort of thing. So people really like short stories to supplement the data because it makes more sense to them. And you know, to us, we are so entrenched in this business that we know exactly what the market is doing, what the process is like, what, you know, how this is going to play out. Don't assume that they know this. To them, this is foggy at best. So I always take the time to walk them through and, you know, explain on anecdotal stories on how these things pan out. And I try to be casual about it and mix it in here and there. And I will tell stories about success. I will tell stories about failure. I tell them about what's going on in the marketplace in terms of understanding. There's really two prices in the market right now. You have people always think, oh, we have one price, because that's the old thinking. That's your list price, and then you negotiate from there. But in this market, you really want to differentiate between your list price, your asking price, which is really just a marketing tool, and then you have your targeted sales price. And it's super important that they really understand those are two very separate prices, because as we know, in a lot of the markets, a lot of price segments, we are planning and expecting to sell a property over list price. Now, the issue becomes, if you're aiming to the top of that, so if you set your list price where your target price is, then a lot of buyers and their agents will assume that they have to add another, 30, 50,000 on top of that. And they will disregard the property because they're repelled by it. They will say it's overpriced. So you have to allow for that, and people really need to understand the difference between your marketing strategy and what your actual targeted sales price is. And that takes a little bit of effort because they're so hung up on being, there's just one price we're talking about. That's a list price. That's what we're selling it about. And that's, as we know, no longer true. So you have to be patient with them, show them examples, show them data, sometimes let it sink in, meet with them again and review the same situation again. I set them up with an MLS portal as well, so they can see, I'm telling them the pattern, I point it out, but then I tell them, don't trust me, trust the data. I'm giving you the data, log into MLS in a consumer portal, and then you can see how this is actually working in your neighborhood. Take a look at this, and we go through the examples until they get it, and then we can price the property right and put it on the market. So hopefully everything goes to plan.
Yeah, there's an old sales adage, Marcus. Facts tell, stories sell. Facts tell, stories sell. How you tell the stories utilizing your facts is ultimately what Marcus is saying as to how he gets people to create action. Marcus, appreciate it. Thanks for sharing. Awesome. All right, Nancy Brennan, you've been at this for a long time. What are you seeing in terms of how you're getting sellers to play ball in a market like this and creating action within the marketplace?
Doing, oh,
Very good.
can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, great. I've been doing the same thing, year after year. I learn everything about their house as much as I can. So what I do when they call me, I have probably about 10 questions that I ask them. So I want to know everything about their house pretty much before I go over there. I'm a two-stepper. I've always been that way. I was trained that way. So I go and I see the house, and then we walk around and I learn everything about them, their motivation. And that's number one for me too. I have learned in my discussions with them, I can see how motivated they are. That's very important. If they're going to give you a hard time on your pricing, you're going to kind of, get the hang of that right away. So by the time I leave, I know a lot about that house. Then I go to the computer and, look up that data and that type of thing too. But the most important thing to me is to make their experiences really all about their house and all about them. So that's worked for me for all these years, and the same thing, and nothing's really changed.
Beautiful. Nancy, thank you. All right, last one of our panel this week, Dan Wild. And I'm gonna ask you to take a bit of a different approach. Okay. How are you creating action? Right? Like you and Sherry have had a lot of success. You have a great story in terms of how you left your corporate world. But how are you getting people to gain trust in you in order to create inertia in order to move forward in this market and gaining listings?
I think, when I listen to this panel, obviously we're the last ones on this panel. And so we do the same thing that everybody else does, right? But I think the thing with this panel that sets kind of all of us apart is it is understanding the motives around why they want to sell. At the end of the day, people, of course, they want to make money from it, but there is a deeper reason for that. And that is our job, is to ask those questions to figure out why it is that they're trying to sell. Now, the big part about us is we kind of walk into the listing appointment with already the expectation that we're going to list their house. And I think one of the biggest things, and Sherry does an amazing job at this, is after we have the conversation, we've built the trust, we understand, we talk through the data. For us, it's really a collaborative process with the seller. Some agents walk in and they'll say, here's what I think you should list your house at. What we say to the agent or to the seller is, at the end of the day, this is your asset, and we're going to help guide you in this process to be able to come up with a number. I think for us, pricing is really difficult. I think for most agents, pricing is difficult. And what we say to the seller is, listen, we're in charge of the process, but you're in charge of all the decisions. And that gives them some onus on the whole process. And like I said, being collaborative and being able to come up with a price together builds that trust. One of the first questions we ask is, what do you think you're going to sell your house for? And bring up the Zillow's estimate. They're looking at this stuff, right? They know, they're talking to neighbors. They know what their house potentially could sell for. Those data points help us to be able to have those conversations, to be able to talk through the pricing piece. Now, the other piece that Sherry does is right afterwards, we send an email and we put together a project plan that basically says, oh, okay, we talked, here's the day you want to list your house. These are all the things that you need to do prior to listing your house. And so the assumption is already there. I think sellers, in fact, most people, they need a little bit of direction and stickiness to this process in order to kind of, get off their butt and get moving. And so there are sellers that we're working with right now that, we have one seller in Bayview who is in the process of buying a house in Chicago. And every week we're sending them a new timeline. Now that it's been pushed out because they haven't gotten an accepted offer, we keep sending them timelines. That's a touch. And it kind of moves them kind of along the process. Did that answer your question?
Sorry, totally does. Dan, what I think I love about what you said is, first of all, it's collaborative. And there was one thing I specifically wrote down. He said, we're in charge of the process, you're in charge of the decisions. And then creating a project plan and a follow-up that creates stickiness to the process so they get engaged in the process in order to create inertia to move forward.
Yeah, because another agent is going to come in. Maybe we're competing against another agent. And that's fine. But we get the follow-up email and we continue to follow up with a project plan. Nobody else is doing that. I've not seen anybody else doing that. And they go, well, okay. I know I want to list my house 2 months from now, which seems like a long time. But when they look at the project plan, they're like, oh, okay, next week I need to have this done. And then the week after that, I need to do this. They're already in their mind thinking, okay, this agent is looking out for me. They've already put some time in to put the market on this date. I'm just going to work with them.
Perfect.
And they don't ask by the way, they don't ask the question on price. They don't ask the question on commission. Commission really has nothing to do with it. It has what it comes down to is their ability to be able to trust you, and you can tell them that it's a 10% commission, and it doesn't matter. As long as they know that you are competent and able to follow this process and get them to market, that's all that really matters. If they talk about price, you haven't done your job of providing the value in how you're going to list their house.
Well, and you walk in expecting to list the price.
Yeah.
People buy nonsense.
Here it is. It's 6% plus $9.95. That's what we charge. And we get it every time.
6% plus $9.95. Heard it there first. Dan Wild, appreciate you, brother. Thank you for jumping in.
Yeah.
All right, team. So here we go. Jumping back into it. As a reminder, I'm going to put some notes as it relates to the conversation that Emily, Melissa, Kevin, Marcus, Nancy, and Dan shared with us, and I'll throw it into the slides so we upload it for you, right? Is a few cliff notes to the conversation. And we'll get these notes out to you, but to the 6 of them, incredible conversations around what's going on in the market at the moment to help you navigate. Again, you have 2 kinds of sellers. They're either pricing to sell or pricing to sit. And what their motivations are and how you get them to trust you is how you create action in a market where 80% of the listings are carrying a 4% interest rate or lower. And you need to create inertia in order to manufacture listings in order to get more deals done. Make sense? Beautiful. All right.
Hey, Charlie, since
Yes.
you asked the question about trust, I pulled a book off my shelf. I'll hold this up here. Hopefully everybody can see. So there's a lot of smart advice in this book about how to build trust with people. This is about how to turn a Russian agent into a double agent, stuff like that. So it's called The Like Switch. Really good read.
Awesome. Marcus, appreciate it. Thanks for adding that in. I'll add that to the notes. Perfect. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up with one other guest speaker, and I'm going to push compliance. I'm going to push tech and marketing into the week after 4th of July, simply out of respect for your time. Smin, I'm going to flip it over to you. Okay. So while we jump into some of this stuff, I'm going to give you a quick little insight for you as it relates to Stephanie Minnick. If you did or did not know this, Stephanie Minnick is a MAPS coach. Okay. Something she's been working on for several years. And one of the several things that we're going to be doing in terms of her training in MAPS is being able to leverage some of the things that she's learning through MAPS to her coaching clients and bring it to you guys throughout the year. So whether it's team meeting, we're going to have these MAPS coaching moments, and or be on the lookout in July, hint, hint, look out in July as it relates to our training and education calendar, is Smin will be going through a few of the MAPS models that the MAPS coaches are working on with their clients and bringing them to you in a group coaching setting. Make sense? All right. So to wrap it up, I'm flipping it over to Smin for the MAPS coaching moment.
Thank you. Okay, good morning. I wanted to share a couple education opportunities that are available to everyone.
Speaking here.
Sorry, not just those of you guys who are in coaching. So first one, this is free. This is for everyone in KW. It's called Recon Role Play, which is on Facebook Live. If you go to the KW MAPS coaching website or like the Facebook page, there's also a Zoom link you can request. This is, if you want to improve on your scripts and dialogues and conversations, this is an amazing class. The person who leads MAPS coaching, Jen Davis, she was a killer buyer's agent. She runs this class along with a couple other coaches. So it's Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 9 a.m. online. You can hop in whenever you want. Go to this class. It's basically like a workshop where if you have an issue that you want to work through, creating buyer agency or urgency, sellers not motivated, for sale by owners, you can bring it to the group and they will help you work through what to say. It's an awesome free opportunity. On to the next one. Fast track classes. We have so many great opportunities here in our market centers, and we can also think about some of the national opportunities. Fast track is a great way to learn like a specific topic. So for instance, upcoming fast track courses, they're all digital. They range anywhere from never ending referrals is $39 a month. If you want to learn about building a business off of your database and making personal connections, that's a great class. You can jump in, I think, anytime. If you want to work on your conversion skills, how do I meet people and then convert them into getting into my database and staying in touch with them? That's a great class as well. There's a ton available, you guys, social media, building wealth. Look, all you have to do is go to mapscoaching.com and you'll see all the fast track opportunities. And they're led by people who did a really great job and built their business in that area. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about is some coaching opportunities. So basically, I'm gonna give you an idea. For every agent, I want you to write this down. So performance equals your potential minus interference. Okay, performance equals potential minus interference. Without interference, you would perform at your highest potential, right? And the interference can come in so many different ways. So it can be your mindset, limiting beliefs, your schedule, your systems, your skills. And all knowledge and information comes down to three categories. We know what we know, right? I know that I'm left-handed. I know that for a fact. We know what we don't know. I can't speak Italian, right? I know that. I know what I don't know. But I don't know what I don't know. And that's a blind spot. And until someone comes in to help either teach me something or identify my blind spot, I'm going to be stuck. That's my interference. So when we talk about these coaching opportunities, a coach is there to help you unlock that blind spot and identify that and help you break through that next ceiling. So if you're finding yourself in your business and you're kind of hitting this ceiling, you're like, I feel like I'm doing everything I can. You need a person, a system, or a tool, right? And a coach can be that person to help you unlock and break through that ceiling. So we've got two programs with MAPS. The first is Breakthrough. So this is for people who are producing about 75K GCI in the last 12 months to 149K. This is kind of that sweet spot. It's really an introduction to coaching with 2 calls per month. The same coach is going to meet with you every call, and you're going to work on a plan to help you break through that ceiling. So whatever your goal is, that's what your coach will help you attain. Then the second one is mastery. So mastery is for those in the room or in the company rather, who are 150K GCI or higher. And that's going to be 4 calls a month with your dedicated coach. And then there's a ton of other privileges that you get, like free mastery, let's say free mega camp, free family reunion tickets, mastermind. There's a ton of other perks that are involved in that. So if that's something that you guys are interested in ever at any time, or if you're working with a MAPS coach and you're finding like, I'm not sure if this is the right fit or whatnot, please feel free to use me as a resource. That's why I'm here. So my whole goal is, if you're curious about coaching, is I'll connect you with the right person who will align you with the correct coach for you and your business where you are right now. I'm not the best coach for everyone, just like every agent is a certain fit for a client, right? That's the same thing for a coach. And there are coaches who help you build businesses off of events, who specialize in that, social media. There are coaches who help with like husband and wife teams, and like that's what they might specialize in. So there's going to be a coach that's the right fit for you. And I'm here to help you with that if you need to. Then I wanted to just kind of put out there Mega Agent Camp. I think this is one of like a lot of people's favorite events. Does anyone else like really love this event? It's just an awesome way to hear from top producing agents. And what I wanted to share with the group, I know we've been kind of letting everyone know it's coming up, is intentionally there are fewer tickets being sold this year. They're trying intentionally to just kind of make it a little bit of a smaller group to like really pour into everyone who's attending. So what that means is both fewer tickets, also fewer hotel rooms available in that block. So if you're interested, make sure you just sign up soon so you don't lose out on that ticket or an inexpensive hotel, right? And just so you know, they just announced the special guest speaker. It's this Phil M. Jones. He talks about influence and persuasion. So he's going to be one of the key speakers at the event. And then if you are in Mastery, there's always like a special event coming up, like that they host for free, and you can bring guests, and that's with Tim Tebow. So that'll be at the event. And then the biggest thing that Charlie mentioned I want to just talk about today is we're going to do 2 mid-year resets. So these are going to be classes in person, one at the North Shore office and one at the Southwest office. And they're going to be collaborative kind of masterminds where if you're looking to understand what's my goal, where am I at, and what's the gap? What do I need to do to make up the gap in the back half of the year? We all have like this illusion of time, right? We feel like we have enough time. We have enough time. It's only the end of June. We actually have 20 weeks left, and that includes this week until the end, until mid-November. And we want to kind of work on our goals through mid-November because we know we have to have everything pending if we are relying on it closing by the end of the month or by the end of the year. So we're going to work together to figure out in that 20 weeks, what can we do to help you get to your goal? So when we think about this, we've got a couple options. So I want you to think about that goal that you set at the beginning of the year. Just think about, what was that goal? What number was that? And why was that important to you? Is that still the goal, right? And oftentimes we're not hitting our goals because we don't have a why big enough to tie us to our goal and to keep us in relationship with that goal. So we've got 3 things that we can do for our like mid-year reset. One is, do we have to reforecast our goal, or is our goal still the goal? And we can talk about that at these meetings. The second is, do we need to recalibrate our activities? And our willings have to equal our wants, right? So if I want to hit my goal, I have to be willing to do the activities to get me there. And when our willings don't equal that, that's when we've got conflict and some interference that we can work through at these workshops. And then there might be a little bit of both, right? It might be a little bit of reforecasting a goal and resetting some activities. So the final thoughts I just want to leave you with is I'm going to send out registration links for these classes. I just ask that you sign up because there's going to be some prep work to do. It's super easy. Like, don't let that stop you from coming, but just so you can make the most out of our time with the group together. And then know that in this different year that we're having, we can have a record year and we can also have a rewarding year. So start to think about in the next couple of weeks before these classes, on December 31st, if you looked back at 2023 and thought this was a rewarding year, what does that mean? And then come to that class with that and we'll work through it together. Cool.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Guys, here's what I know. I always know coming out of June, you're basically at the midpoint reset part of the year. And how you come back from 4th of July and where you take these next 20 weeks determines whether you have a record year, a rewarding year, or a disappointing year. It's the truth. And so as you think about today, and we went a little bit longer as it relates to the team meeting timing this morning, is because I'm trying to challenge you in the way in which you think about your year and where it is that you plan to take your year, and to provide you diversity of thought, diversity of approach as to how you define success in 2023. Make sense? Lastly, I'll leave you with this. I've talked about this a lot and I didn't put it in here today, but for those of you who've been around a while, you know, you have 5 balls in your life. Okay? 4 of them are rubber. Sorry, 4 of them are glass. 1 of them is rubber. And if you don't know what this is, ping me and I'll help you. You have friends, faith, health, finances. A lot of things can bounce back in life, including your business or faith, friends, family, your relationships, your finances. Some of those things can shatter quickly. Your business can always bounce back. Okay. Take the time over this next weekend and into 4th of July. Focus on those 4 to 5 balls that are glass. Focus on those you love, those that you care for, those that you earn your income for, and come back ready to kick ass for the final 20 weeks of the year. Sound good? Yeah. Guys, have a great week. Thanks for showing up. We'll talk to you after the 4th.